Welcome back to the channel. And the Supersport, the new sports roadster from Morgan, costs £102,000 when customer deliveries start in May, and it is a Morgan in kind of the traditional sense, in that it is a two-seat, front-engined, rear-wheel drive roadster with a big beefy engine, and it doesn't weigh very much.
The BMW engine makes 335 horsepower at 6,500 revs and 369 pounds-feet at only 1,250 revs, so as you might expect, this is a really fast car, given its light weight. Morgan expects it'll do 0 to 62 miles an hour in under 4 seconds and 165 miles an hour flat out. And because this is a small, lightweight car, you can expect more than 40 miles to the gallon on a long run.
It has this lovely aluminium skin over, I'll show you actually some of the framework in a minute, but it is over an aluminium architecture called CXV, which is an update of the CX architecture, which sat underneath the Plus 6 that came out in 2019. The plan originally was to kind of update that car, but Morgan has got a bit carried away as it's gone on and created what it perceives as an entirely new car, to the extent that it's had to re-crash test the whole thing. So it's much stronger than it was before. There is extra strength down the transmission tunnel. It's got front and rear double wishbone suspension, but it is much more beefily, the subframes front and rear are much more beefily applied to the chassis. The steering column has been moved. It's had a UV joint removed from it, which I'll come on to when we talk about it inside in a moment. And it has got this fairly extraordinary skin on it. This one's got a hard top. You can remove that hard top and then have some soft top architecture stuff underneath. And it's also got doors, which Morgans have had removable doors for a while, but they have not been removable like that. And so simple. And come around the back and have a look at this. It's got a decent amount of boot space. And there you go. I told you that it's got this beautiful aluminium skin. You can see actually that there is still some wood underneath it, even though the chassis is aluminium. There is still this Morgan craftsmanship running through it. So you can drop both doors from both sides in there. It's got this lovely tail coming down. On the engine front, it is a B58 BMW straight 6-cylinder of 3 litres, and you might notice there are no louvers in the bonnet here. That's because air does come out of the radiator and up here, and then there are more exits from the bonnet down here. This is a sort of fairly high pressure area, so that's actually the air intake for the heating and ventilation system rather than an outlet. And let me show you, there is an engine in there. It is a snug fit, is it not? And actually, because it's set a reasonable way behind the front axle line, which is about there, and the gearbox is behind, the weight distribution, it only weighs 1,175 kilos, is about 50-50. As you put more people and luggage on board, that may go rearwards by a percentage or two. These unbelievably good looking optional wheels. These are 19s, you can get 18s. This has got Michelin Pilot Sport 5 tyres. They're really good. They are chosen for, not their outright dry grip, they're chosen for the progressiveness of breakaway and their all-round performance and noise reduction as well. It's a really nice looking thing, isn't it? Don't you think? I think so. You can have a limited slip rear differential. This one does not have one. It's a mechanical limited slip diff. You can have Nitron adjustable dampers. This does have those. You don't have to have those. And the idea is that it's got anti-squat suspension at the rear. The suspension geometry has been changed all around. The idea it's more compliant than the Plus 6. It's still incredibly capable. It's still incredibly good fun. It's still incredibly raw, but it's a more capable all-round thing. It's got a bit more breadth in the suspension. It's just had its capabilities opened out all round. So let's find out. Okay, and this is the inside of the Morgan, a car they think could be your first sports car. Interesting. I think if you were in a Porsche 911 in November and you wanted to drive, I don't know, from the country into the city, you'd find it quite a relaxing thing to do. This might not be quite so cosseting. It's a more cramped is the wrong word, but it is a smaller interior. I'm 5'10", I've got that much headroom. These seats are, it's a two-seat roadster cabin, okay? It is not a luxury sports car cabin. That's the nature of this car. It's got a narrow cockpit. It's got a great view out over the bonnet. It is lovely. It is really lovely when you see the little headlights protruding. It's got these 3 little wipers going backwards and forwards. It's not a luxury interior, but it is a luxurious interior if you follow. They've got nice wood, they've got nice leather. It's pleasant. It is sensibly laid out in terms of dials. So there's one button here. If I push it, that does temperature. If I push it again, now it does the fan speed. That's really sensible. You can Bluetooth up a phone into the sound system, which is fine, and then you have the screen on your phone for the nav or whatever. That's also fine. You can change the volume with that button, and then if you push it, you can change track or change station. So there's some real sensible, easygoing, normal stuff in here. Get a conventional handbrake, which is cool. This lovely steering wheel with a sort of forged aluminium boss to try and make it feel not like a BMW one. And we'll begin. It's quite a long stretch to these paddles, which stay where they are, which I don't mind. It's about 3 turns between locks, and this rear window, this huge rear window, is so good for visibility. I'm in drive in normal at the moment. If I pop it across into sport, it'll be in sport, and then if I take control with the paddles in sport, it stays in the gear I've selected. If I go back into drive, I can change the paddles if I want, change gears myself, but after a certain amount of time it defaults to drive in the way that these things do in most cars these days. So if I go across to Sport, I can then, if I want, select Sport Plus. Through these phases, what it does is it sharpens the steering, it sharpens the gear shift reaction, and in Sport Plus it makes the exhaust noisier, and it winds back the levels of stability control. If I press stability control once, that puts it into an ESC Sport mode, which liberates it a little, and an extended push turns it off completely. So there's a bad surface there. You might have seen a bit of a shimmy, especially through that camera, which is attached to the plexiglass rather than that one which is on the glass. That's one of the things that means this car is not a sports car in a 911 sense in terms of it being a sports GT car. It is better than any Morgan before, but it's not up with, you know, mass market sports cars, if you like, in terms of refinement. You can hear that BMW engine finally pick up some note. It's quite smooth. It's heavily turbocharged, so it's not very raspy or anything like that. It ticks a bit at sort of low revs, but once you get going above sort of 2,000-3,000 RPM, it picks up a bit of sort of trademark 6-cylinder smoothness, and it's really fast. I mean, it's properly fast. This thing weighs 1,250 kilos, including 75 kilos for the driver and with 3/4 of a tank of fuel. So I think if it just really quick. Previous Morgans, kind of ever since they have introduced a sort of BMW engine to them, actually. I didn't drive loads of the ones before that, but since they inherited sort of power assistance, what they've sometimes done is they've had steering which doesn't always feel that linear. So you turn, you maybe don't get a lot, you turn a bit more and you suddenly get loads. And one of the things Morgan wanted to do with this car is make the steering, although it is quicker by about 13%, they wanted to make it more linear as well, give it more natural feel. It's an electrically assisted system. They haven't played too much with the calibration because calibration itself is really difficult. So what they've done is they've sort of changed the hardware points, removed one of the universal joints from it, which is helpful. And it means they can wind back a little bit the actual just overall amount of this section here. It's this section here. It just comes. There's a bump. There's a bump. There's a bump. And this suspension this is on these nitron dampers, but the suspension just absorbs it. The body moves around a little, but not in an unwieldy, untidy fashion. It's all really controlled, but it just has a few movements here and there. It's not unlike, and it may be down to the fact that the damper units, spring damper units, are just so good, but it's not unlike a really well suspended aerial Nomad in that it's got terrific wheel control and the body's, you know, making slowish movements, but the wheels must be making really quick movements, and there's a sophistication to it which I haven't felt in any Morgan to date, really. And when you want, you can knock it across into drive, wind back all of the stability systems and everything to their normal mode. And this is a car that tracks really nicely. So the steering is quicker, but for my money, it is more stable around straight ahead, and it just picks up weighting more naturally, much more normally. There was an early Aero 8, I think, which basically you turned and it basically did nothing, and then all of a sudden it really ramped up really quickly. This is so much more naturally linear. Linear is one of their words, and I like it. The idea is, you put in a certain amount, you get back a certain amount from it. You put in X amount more, you get back X amount more. It's not, you put in 3% and you only get 1% back, then you put in 15%, you get 30% back. No, it matches your inputs, and it's much better from that point of view. As a general cruiser, you do get some wind noise. This is a validation prototype car, which they tell me will be better in a finished form. But let's not forget, look, these are plexiglass windows, and there's a gap there. This is not the most refined car in the world, and it is never going to be. This roof does come off, but it's not the work of a moment. I don't sense a lot of sort of shimmy, looseness, flexibility in the body. Just very, very occasionally, and you may occasionally hear a squeak from the seats or something like that. That sort of element of the Morgan character is intact, but it has been combined with much, much more sophistication in terms of chassis competence than they've had before. It's sort of almost 50-50 weight distribution front and rear when there's nobody in the car, but you sit somebody in the car and put some fuel in it, and that becomes like 48 and 52. It's on sale where low volume type approval is allowed. So my understanding is you can't buy it in the United States, you can buy it in the UK and Europe, you can buy it in Indonesia, you can buy it in Japan. They like this car there. They love sort of English sports cars in Japan. I don't know if you can hear that windscreen wiper as I do that. It does. There's some old school, let's call it old school charm to it. These three little tiny wipers that sort of stretch across the screen. I really like it. I think it's a good car. It is an expensive car. It's £102,000 before you start putting anything on it. I like the look of it. I don't think it's, well, you decide. I really like the look of it. I think there's some real sort of, a bit like the Morgan Super 3, there's some kind of architectural coolness to some of the elements. I love the wheels it's on in particular, and they fill out the arches properly, and it's quite a sort of muscular car, but at the same time there's that real elegance around the back in particular. I have loads and loads of time for it. Is it the car that makes the step from, is it the Morgan that makes the step from third car to second car? Could it be, yes, I have a Range Rover and a Porsche 911, and then I have a Morgan for high days and holidays? Could it be, yes, I have a Range Rover and I have a Morgan? Could it be the second car in the two-car garage? It could. But it absolutely depends, I think, on your use case, right? I mean, I'm not sure it is a crisp February morning, I'm going to go to the office, I could take the 911, that would be nice. Your side of the road, mate, if you don't mind. I think it's still, although it has got excellent seat heaters and a very good cabin heater and everything else, it feels a luxury pleasure car rather than a would like to be daily car to me. But it depends who you are. I could use one quite a lot. I could use one quite happily, quite often. But the short of it, it's another really good car from Morgan, and it differentiates the Supersport from the Plus 4, which is differentiated again from the Super 3. So they now have a really, a properly broad range. You've got traditional old school roadster, wacky cool three-wheeler, and this a luxurious GT roadster. Probably is sports car and roadster more than it is GT car. but that's all right. That's all right. So thanks for joining me. You'll find more on this car over at autocar.co.uk. You can find more on Morgan's entire history, if you like, and they have a very rich, storied history, and you can find pretty much stories about all of it over at themagazineshop.com/autocar. I'll see you next time.